The final MaxScript language items that I want to touch on are some additional context prefixes similar to the animate and @time prefixes we've seen already. They correspond to the working coordinate system and rotation center drop-down menus in the main Max toolbar. And like those controls do for the Max UI, establish a working transform context for a block of code. The first is the coordsys prefix.
Here's an example. This prefix establishes a parent working coordinate system for the following expression. So the whole line says, set the position of box 3 to 10, 0, 0 in its parent coordinate system. Here's another example. This sets up sphere 2's local coordinate system as the working coordinate system for this property access. So we assign the x-coordinate of sphere 1's position relative to sphere 2's coordinate system to the variable relative x.
Basically, any expression you prefix with an in-coordsys will get or set any transform-related properties referenced in that expression relative to the coordinate system you select.
Note that the reserved word in is optional, and you can simply use coordsys if you want. You can select between a number of different coordinate systems, many corresponding to those in the working coordinate system drop-down in the main Max UI. These include world, local, parent, grid, scene, a selected scene node, or an arbitrary 3D matrix.
In addition to affecting transform-related property access, all transform operations, such as moves, rotates, or scales within a coordsys context, will also operate relative to the specified coordinate system, just as in the Max UI.
So this, for example, sets up a local working coordinate system for the entire code block in parentheses. And so it moves box 3 100 units along box 3's local x-axis and rotates box 4 45 degrees around box 4's local z-axis. Note that rotate and scale functions do not use the selected coordinate system as the center of the scale or rotation. They just use its three-dimensional axis, exactly as do the rotate and scale tools in the Max UI. Like those, MaxScript uses a separately specified rotate and scale center, which you set up with a different context, the about context. For example, this sets up a pivot point center context for the following rotate, so that it rotates all geometry objects about each object's pivot point 30 degrees around the current coordinate system's y-axis. If you want to be explicit about both center and axis, you'd use both context prefixes together, like this. Setting up a local working coordinate system and a pivot point scale center for the following scale function call. So this would scale all boxed star objects and their descendants by a factor of 2 in each object's local x direction about each object's pivot point. You can select between a number of different kinds of centers in an about context, including these: the current selection, an object's pivot point, the current working coordinate system, a given scene node, the center of a coordinate system specified by an arbitrary 3D matrix, or a given 3D coordinate in the current coordinate system.